Praise be Jesus Christ and Mary Immaculate. Welcome to this 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. We're going to read from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 49 to 53. Today we hear one of the most unsettling sayings of Jesus, something that goes just out of character for him. He says, "I have come to set the earth on fire, and how I wish it was already blazing. Do you think that I have come to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division." At first, this seems to contradict everything we know about Jesus. Isn't he the Prince of Peace? When he was born, the angels in heaven sang peace on earth to people of all goodwill. Didn't the risen Lord greet his apostles and his disciples with the greeting of peace be with you? Yet here he speaks of fire and division. What does this mean? To understand this, we need to see the image of fire as it appears in the Gospel of Luke. The first time, it's in the preaching of John the Baptist. John announced that the Messiah would baptize with the Holy Spirit and with fire. For those who welcome him, fire would mean the Spirit, God's Spirit, life, energy, love. But for those who reject Jesus, for John, fire would mean judgment, destruction, condemnation. And the second time fire appears is with two of the apostles, James and John. When a Samaritan village refused to welcome Jesus because he was set to go to Jerusalem, James and John turned to Jesus and they asked him, "Lord, do you want us to call down fire to consume them?" As if they could, first of all. In their minds, fire was punishment. But Jesus rebukes them. He says to them that that was not the fire that he came to bring. Now in today's gospel, fire appears again. But this time Jesus tells us what kind of fire he desires. Not the fire of punishment, not the fire of destruction, but the fire of the Holy Spirit. The fire that comes after his death and resurrection. The fire of Pentecost that descends on the disciples as tongues of flames. That fire is love, is passion, it's new life. That is the fire that Jesus longs to see blazing in our world. And yet he also speaks of baptism. He speaks of baptism. He must undergo an immersion, not in water, but in suffering and death. He says, "How great is my distress until this is accomplished." Jesus knows that the fire of the Spirit will only come after he passes through the fire of the cross, through the fire of his passion. His death will ignite a new covenant, a new way of being, not based merely on the law, but of living in the Spirit of God poured into our human hearts. This is why Jesus says that he has not come to bring peace as the world understands peace, because the peace he offers is not a superficial calm or a polite silence that avoids conflict. True peace comes only when the truth of God's love takes root in our hearts. And whenever that truth enters the world, it for sure creates division. Because some people accept it and others resist it. Just like some people accept Jesus and others reject him. Just like some people accept his gospel values and some people reject it. That's why Jesus speaks of division even within family. Father against son, mother against daughter, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, the old resisting the new, tradition clashing with the Spirit's fresh fire. You notice that this division is not between siblings. It's about generations. It's about the good old days. It's about how we used to do things. It's about defending the tradition and what used to be and clashing with the Spirit's fresh fire. Notice that he doesn't do that he doesn't mention brother against brother or sister against sister. The community of believers must not be divided among themselves. The real opposition comes from those who cling to the past and cannot accept the newness of life that Jesus offers us. This is true for us today. When the gospel challenges unjust structures, when it calls us to love the poor, when it calls us to forgive our enemies, when it calls us to welcome the stranger among us, when it calls us to abolish the death penalty, it brings division. Some will say yes, and others will say no. Some will be set on fire with the Spirit, while others will try to put out the flame. So the question today is, Which fire do we carry? The fire of destruction, anger, resentment, fear, or the fire of the Spirit, love, mercy, courage? Jesus has come to ignite the world with God's fire. He wants that fire burning in us. May we not be afraid of that flame. Let it purify what has to be purified. Let it cleanse what needs to be cleansed. Let it bring to truth what is false in us. Let it strengthen what is weak. Let it set us ablaze with love of God and of neighbor. Then we will know the peace of Christ. Not a peace of comfort, but a peace born of truth, conversion, and the living fire of the Holy Spirit. God bless you.